Right now, I want to set a good vibe. Wherever you're at, in the car, in the gym, on a walk, I want you to imagine walking into a place that makes you slow down. Maybe the music, the room, the people, the city outside. So before we start, I want you to take one breath with me. In through your nose, this is like Andrew Huberman breathing. In through your nose, and then exhale nice and slow. Leave the noise outside for a minute. This is a space for stories, honesty, faith, ambition, failure. Realize that your feet are where they are and be right there. Welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for being here. Did you know that over half of you are not subscribed? So please do us a huge favor, hit that subscribe button. It's your free gift to the podcast. And today's guest is Chris Thacker. Chris is a longtime tour manager for Dierks Bentley, a music industry veteran, and the co-founder and CEO of Stagewater. He spent decades behind the scenes of live music, leading teams, solving problems, and keeping massive tours moving. This is a conversation about leadership, pressure, entrepreneurship, and what it really takes to build a life behind the scenes. Please welcome Chris Thacker.
Thank you. That's a very kind introduction.
Thanks for being here.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here. And I said before we started that I was going to try to down as many of these as possible.
I know the challenge is on.
And so we got to keep the music flowing and keep the water flowing at the same time. So question for you.
Okay.
There's this thing that I studied in marketing called corporate social responsibility, CSR. And I went and I looked up stats today, and the ASCM organization says 70% of consumers want to know how brands support social and environmental issues.
Oh, cool.
And then they said 46% of consumers pay close attention when making a purchase decision based off of that corporate social responsibility that brands have. So like when you look at Tom's shoes back in the day, you'd buy a pair, they give a pair.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely something to be said for when I buy a can of water, I know that 15% of the proceeds are going to help people in the creative community on all kinds of levels. And that's really cool. I just want to say that for people because I don't know if you even knew those
I didn't even think about it. I mean, I feel like I probably purchase things with that in mind, but I've never heard that or read that, but it makes sense. And I love that we're trending that way. You know what I mean? As just maybe a society. And I think Blake Mykowski, who was the founder of Tom's, did a really good job of bringing that B Corp, if you will, to the public forefront. Cause that's the first company I remember where it was oh, whoa, you buy a pair of shoes. This dude's giving a pair of shoes all the way back to somebody in need. And I think that's a great, I love to hear that. That kind of makes me happy to think that people are being conscious of that, and that maybe that impacts their decision with this.
So. It's even for me, these T-shirts that I buy, they're made in America, and it's I guess as a consumer, I like the fact that it's made on an old loom that was producing stuff during the World War II era. And it was a manufacturer, and it was purchased by a company called Buck Mason, and they make their tees in the United States.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a CSR thing, I guess, because I'm supporting our community. But anyway, all that to say, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
What's the hardest conversation you've had to have as a leader during this whole thing?
I mean, early on, we had to make some decisions about where we're going to co-pack and different partners that were, we were learning about the beverage business, right? Touring's touring, music's music. The three of us co-founders have been in that space for a really long time. And so to jump into a whole new vertical, it was shoot, how do we get cans in bulk? I'm with you. So my background is civil engineering, and I'm a little bit of a water snob too. And I have a thing about the viscosity of the water and the minerality and all that stuff. So trying to meet co-packers that could do the product for us, and what does their water taste like? And you know what I mean? And we went through that several times, and we landed on a partnership at one point that we felt like was right. And then we had to we got down the road a little bit and we had to kind of pull back from it. And that was an interesting conversation to have on behalf of myself. Like I've definitely done that on behalf of artists with tours, and it just felt different for some reason to walk a relationship back, or to say like, yeah, this isn't working, we're going to have to move on. You know what I mean? And do it amicably. And you know, I don't know. I feel like all of us have this inner child that wants to like blow stuff up to make it easy to walk away. And like, I fight that all the time. I think humans fight that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier if you kick and scream and make a mess and then everybody walks away. It's so hard to do it calmly and peacefully, I feel like. But that was one of those things. And I felt like that was a growth moment for me with Stage Water and for the two other co-founders. Like, we all made that decision together and had the conversation, but it was like, we knew early on that this wasn't going to be a relationship that would allow our brand to grow in the way that we wanted it to grow.
What was the biggest growth that came out of it?
Well, we found the right co-packing partner. You know what I mean? And
what is co-packing?
So co-packing is where somebody else essentially creates your product. Like, we don't own the machinery that puts the water in the can and all of that stuff. So like, that's a co-packer, and they do it for every product out there, right? Like, you have, I mean, Coke obviously owns their own facilities, but there's so many brands that we all engage with that are made at a third party's facility, you know, and they're labeled as such, and, you know.
Yeah.
So that's our co-packer.
Okay. Copy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just the way of the market. Like, so many products are all produced in the same facilities, but
yeah.
I wonder if that's why my food sometimes says this was produced on machinery that may have contained, you know,
peanuts or whatever.
At first glance, people might think water is simple, but I want to know what's something that no consumer understands about the beverage business until you're inside of it. Going from point A to like, well, let's start a water brand. Let's donate 15% of the proceeds to help people. Let's hydrate people.
Yeah.
To actually doing it.
I think that the thing that I mean, the co-packing side of it was a lot more complicated than I ever thought it would be.
Okay.
And, you know, early on in our experience of all this, because there's things that are made, multiple brands and types of beverages are made in the same facilities. One of our early like product test runs was at a facility that also had just started making THC beverages, and there's rubberized components in these co-packing lines. And the first like pilot run that we did tasted like weed and watermelon and water. And it was you know, and that they were learning too, you know what I mean? And so there was no fault there, but it was one of those things where I was like, that was kind of that oh shit moment where it's like, this is going to be harder than I think this is going to be. And it's like, you realize that everything that water touches, it picks up that flavor, whether that's like certain plastic, you know what I mean? It's like, you have to be so meticulous in the creation of this simple product. It's so easy. I say easy to make an energy drink, because most energy drinks are an acidic environment. Like, you don't even really have to think about bacterial growth in energy drinks, because they're so acidic, bacteria can't actually live in the energy drink. So you can co-pack it all, smash the lid on it, send it out. The flavors are going to vary. The caffeination is going to vary. But like, you have to be very meticulous with water, because it is a neutral pH. Things can grow. You have to make sure that your facility is top tier, you know? And that was the place that we landed. They do some products for Coca-Cola and bigger beverages as well. And like, that's kind of the gold standard. And that was, you know, the moment that we found that partner was like, okay, that was a big hurdle for us. Everything it touches, it's going to absorb that flavor. So you got to be really careful.
Yeah. I've never thought about that on the co-packing side, all that machinery. Well, so we got the CMAs. I don't know when this is going to air, but you're the official water of the CMA Fest.
Yeah. Yeah, they were very, that was kind of a goal of ours from the onset, was like, we live and work in this Nashville community, and that's kind of the Super Bowl, right, for Nashville, and will be until the actual Super Bowl in 2030. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big weekend every year. There's 500,000 people or something that come to town, and so we were really, really wanting to be able to lean into that partnership. And I've been a CMA member for a long time, and have had the good fortune to be at the stadium when Dierks has played several years, and done fun stuff like Spotify House with him, and kind of bounced around and seen a lot of it. So for us to be available there was a big goal, and we're very thankful for that. So
when you're launching, because when was your official launch date?
January 31st of 2025, and we kicked off with Music Care's Person of the Year event in LA, honoring the Grateful Dead.
Oh, sweet.
Which was the first concert I ever went to when I was 14. So that was also a full circle, kind of surreal moment to like sit in the room and see Bob Weir drinking a can of our water. And I was like, what is my 14-year-old self was elated. You know what I mean?
I bet.
So it was pretty cool.
Right now, are you at the point where it's like, let's try to get stage water in the hands of 500,000 people that come to Nashville this weekend?
Yes. I mean, we're kind of throwing everything we got at it, to be honest. So we have a street team that's out there starting today. They're sampling up and down Broadway for like 10 hours. We have an activation inside the festival footprint. We're the only water being sold at all the concessions in the free downtown footprint of the festival. We're the only water backstage at Nissan Stadium, at Ascend for all of those free stages. Unless, of course, requested by somebody else's rider. But yeah, man, we're in full force. And the thing that I'm the most excited about is Friday and Saturday, we're going to have a plane that's supposed to fly around downtown Nashville pulling a banner that says "Hot people drink stage water," which is kind of our tagline for the festival. But
and there's a lot of hot people.
There are a lot of hot people in June in Nashville, man. So yeah, we're really excited, and to be still early in the journey, it was a big win for us for sure. So
what's the win for you guys that you would love to see after the next week?
So we have a distributor. We're distributed in Georgia and Tennessee right now, which is and our route to market strategy. All of these are.
Ooh, I love this.
I know all of these are buzzwords I've learned in the beverage.
Yeah, we're all learning, dude. When you hop in new things, entrepreneurship. Dude.
Yeah, all the fun little acronyms.
I'm still trying to figure out what EBITDA is. I still don't know.
Yeah, same.
Route to market. Yeah. RTM.
RTM. Yeah. So
that's interesting.
We've kind of lifted the Red Bull model, which is to be in bars and restaurants and event venues first, which is referred to as on premise in the beverage business, and then your grocery stores, convenience stores, liquor stores are all considered off-premise.
Okay.
So right now we have a few off-premise accounts in Nashville that are liquor stores and small independent groceries that are carrying us. Most of the places we show up right now are like the 5 Spot, Daddy's Dogs, Gramps, Acme Feed and Seed, Playground, like bars around that downtown and East Nashville. What our goal would be after this was that we have more adoption by those on-premise accounts, and that people kind of get the idea that the musicians playing in their bars can also use Music Care. They can also use Backline, or, some of those places could lean into another organization we support called NEVA, which is the National Independent Venue Association. And, hopefully that some of the things that we support, they want to support too, and that they bring the brand on, and maybe they learn about something they didn't know about,
Was there something in being Dierks' tour manager and that experience that made your mind go to water? Because what I think of, because something I think of is like, I think of concerts and drinks and tall boys and all that. And this is a cool looking product.
Thank you.
And I was thinking, like, if I was walking, because I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So if I was walking around at like a bar and I had this and it was called stage water, there's almost a level of ambiguity to it that I think is cool because I feel like sometimes I'll want to get like a soda water or something with lime.
Mhm.
So not that I'm insecure about it, but just then people aren't thinking you're like the sober one or whatever.
Well, and I think
this is a cool product to be able to, it kind of gives me that vibe.
Yeah.
This is all my like first time feedback.
Yeah. No, I love
I'm very
that.
entrepreneurial myself.
Yeah.
I always have ideas. And if I had 50 lifetimes, I'd probably do 50 different things.
But yeah. No, I'm glad to hear that. And I mean, yeah, there's definitely that thought behind it. It's like we want people to have that experience. And I think the fact that people are drinking less and less alcohol now, it hopefully lends itself to that also.
It does. Was that intentional?
I think the vessel choice was intentional because, like, I think that there's other products that have done a good job of that and normalizing the can part of it. And, you know, I mean, I think that that's where other competitive brands have paved the way and have, you know, they've won in that sense. I don't, you know, we talk on and off about plastic. Our mission is about humans. Sustainability is kind of a secondary part of that, but still an important part of it to us nonetheless. And it was like, I think we decided like we were, you know, we kind of made up our mind hard and fast that we were going to stick with aluminum, which is not the most cost-effective route to go. But I think there's a cool factor to it too.
There is. What I mean? Yeah. And you're not getting all those microplastics.
Yeah. Yeah. The heating up and the heating and cooling of the water bottle is an interesting. I've read up on it a good amount, but I'm curious to see what are, you know, I mean, I think we all are. What are the long-term effects of that?
100%, man. And there's something about being in the dark for bacteria too.
Yeah.
Bacteria growth that would lend itself, I would imagine, to a longer shelf life.
Yeah.
So you're starting this company, you guys decide to do it. And then my big question is, how do you fund giving away as much water as possible to people? And do you have to get investors when you're starting something like this?
You do.
And how hard is that?
Well, those are all interesting. I'm still learning how, I don't know. I mean, I know that we have a small pool of people that were close friends of mine that stepped up when I started kind of talking about this idea, and they were like, yeah, man, you should do that. Like, what do you need to do that? And it's like, they've had some big wins in their lives. And they were willing to share some of that with me and with our team to see what we could do with this, you know, and trust us with a little bit of capital to try to make the most of it.
Yeah.
And not a little bit, but you know, not.
Yeah, you need a big chunk of money to be able to launch properly.
It's tricky, and we've done a lot with what we started with, and we'll kind of tee up probably, you know, one of the outcomes you asked about CMA Fest is like, we want to be able to show those bigger wins and show some brand awareness. And once we have that data, hopefully we can expand that into another round of capital that'll allow us to continue to scale.
So, yeah. And for people like that maybe don't understand funding, there's rounds of funding within businesses and startups.
Yeah. Another thing I learned being in the beverage bit, you don't ever think about, I mean, people with record deals think about it, but like as a production person in the music industry, you're not like, where does all this money come from? You know what I mean? But when it's like, oh, this costs, you know, I mean, you're going to pay $50,000 to $100,000 to get your pilot run done for a certain amount of can. You know what I mean? And it's like, where do you come up? Like, we didn't have that kind of capital. You know what I mean? So finding that and finding the right partners, and then learning about like, so you have your kind of friends and family round, and then your seed round, and then you can lean into like series A, B, C, and, you know, and it's interesting because there's companies that are valued at billions of dollars that have never made money. I mean, Spotify was one of those for a long time. You know, they were perpetually in the red and taking on investment until you hit a certain scale by design where things become revenue positive and everything's working the way that you designed it to work. But
then the investors, because they're investing, own a piece.
They do,
of the pie.
So as a founder, you're giving away equity, right?
Yeah, from the get.
Yeah. And
it's a bigger piece at first. And as more people give money, that percentage changes.
It does. And as your valuation goes up, your share price goes up, and, you know, all of those games. And honestly still learning about that. And
because you're like, right now, let's just get water in the hands of people and get them drinking it.
Well, and there's all kinds of legality around all of it, right? Like the way you take on capital and the way that you structure the equity that those people get. And like, we were really lucky. So some of our investors have had the good fortune to go through different mergers and acquisitions. And, they were like, hey, start here. Like, here's our legal team that did this whole huge M&A deal for us. Like, so we're super fortunate in that way. Like that's one thing I didn't have to go looking for, was like a really good lawyer, which I didn't have that, you know what I mean? And I didn't have one that specialized in manufacturing and beverage and accountants I was like, I didn't know anything about any of that stuff. So for them to show up and say, hey, we believe in your idea. Also, here's some team to put around you that can make sure that you're heading in the right direction was such a blessing. And I've been very thankful for that. You know what I mean? Because there's all kinds of stuff in contracts that I didn't know anything about.
Oh, yeah, man.
When you get into distribution and all of that stuff, like
projections.
It's all very similar, though, to like the record business. Like it's an analog product, right? Like I'm handing you what was equivalent to my CD 20 years ago. And you're not making dollars, you're making cents on every can that's sold. So you're building this revenue stream just like you would from a song in the 90s.
And it's about volume.
It's about volume, yeah.
And that's where the money is. Even if we think about streaming, and we did that kind of correlation, it would be, like you're going to make money on a lot of streams.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to, and you have to diversify. Like, your royalty revenues as an artist come from not just terrestrial radio or Spotify, but also placement in songs or in movies and
sync.
You know what I mean? Sync and
mechanicals.
So all of those streams build into this one thing, and it's like that's kind of the way that I assimilate this. Yeah, like because I came up in the my background is music business, so it's like. That makes sense to me, and not trying to like, let's make all the money at once. It's like, we're going to really put our time and energy into building these streams, and hopefully they grow into a river that we can, then help underwrite our fellow roadies and musicians.
I love that. I love that. So a couple things, because you and I are both on a journey of learning like entrepreneurship and business stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm very interested in it. And it's such a learning curve, but it's also fun and exciting.
Yeah.
There's a TAM is something I didn't know about, total addressable market. Mm-hmm. And then I was curious because for water, I would think your total addressable market is pretty big.
It is very big. And I should have the answer to this.
I know. I was just curious. I was just curious because of your branding and the way it is. Who is the person that you're kind of going for right now?
Yeah. I think for us, it is we want the people that are fans of live entertainment. We want people that are fans of human connection and like.
So I could go to like an amphitheater out in the middle of somewhere and I could buy stage water as my water kind of idea, like my concert.
Yeah. And that's the market that we want to address. And we've found some good partners with people that are those places,
that's awesome.
Different venues around Tennessee and Georgia. And then we direct ship to some places in Florida and Missouri and Oregon and, New York. Like we're trying to send product to people that we find that are wanting that, but that's our the TAM, the total addressable market is kind of humanity when it comes to water, right? Yeah. Which is naive to say, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then
everybody could be a proper consumer, and then the branding is kind of geared more towards that entertainment focus.
Yeah.
But I think also by default, because we're three guys that range from 30 to 50 that started the company, like we're not going for that like youthful punk rock vibe necessarily. We want it to be a little sleek, a little more classy, a little more accessible. We want it to be, somebody feel comfortable giving it to their kids because it doesn't have any kind of negative connotation on the can or whatever that looks like. Because we've gotten that feedback from folks too that are like,
yeah, I don't buy a certain product that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Aforementioned product because of that.
mm-hmm.
And I'm a Christian, and for me, it's like I believe in like weird, like stuff can get weird in the spiritual realms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I'm like,
I've heard that feedback from a lot of people. I mean, it's an interesting part of that I never really expected, but there are a lot of people that have said that feel that way about it. Yeah,
I do. So this is a great like option. So one of the big things that I've been learning in podcasting is key performance indicators, KPIs.
Yep.
And so I guess in the business world, and I'm just like really interested in talking to you because this is fresh for you. You're learning business. Yeah. I'm learning business. Yeah. You're starting a water company. I always thought it would be cool to start some kind of beverage thing someday way down the road, but I don't know if I'll ever do it. So the thoughts are there and the questions are there. Key performance indicators are the things that tell you if it's working or not. So after CMA Fest, you said you're going to look at the data. What kind of data do you guys look at to see if it was a success? Or if, like what could you have done better?
Yeah.
Like if you went back and you like.
I think so having the street team out there and giving away product, I think that there'll be a hard number of like, oh, we gave away X amount of cans, which is a great indicator as to how receptive people are. Might be a little bit skewed if it's a hotter day.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big one. I think that if we start seeing stuff organically popping up in social media where people are holding cans and like, it shows that there's that human engagement, and are people tagging our brand and their socials for whatever reason. So I'm curious to like, this is the first time we will have opened ourselves up to feedback at that scale. And that I find that super interesting, and I'm kind of scared about it. You know what I mean? It's like, again, I kind of always go back to the record thing, but it's like playing somebody your first single and being like, what do you think? And you put it out into the world. And like, at some point you just put things out into the world because you believe in them and believe in what you're trying to accomplish with them, whether that's art or a product or whatever. And that's kind of we're at that tipping point. Like here we are, we're pushing, we probably have a couple 100,000 cans floating around at CMA Fest this weekend. And like, how many of them get drank? How many do we pick up and take back to our warehouse? You know what I mean? Like, those are kind of going to be the KPIs, I think, that I look at more than we have other levers that we're pulling to, like we're giving away a guitar and you know what I mean? Like, so how many people engage with that? Like how many people scan the QR code to win the telly and those kind of things. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Is it signed?
No, it's a custom American made Fender Telecaster. It'll have like stage water on it. And then a good buddy of ours who is Billy String's guitar tech was John Osborne's guitar tech. He's going to relic it all up for us. So,
oh, that's sick.
Yeah. So
that'll be cool.
I mean, it's one of those things somebody came up with the idea and they're like, yeah, you can get these cheap guitars. And I was like, I'm not giving away a cheap guitar.
Yeah.
As a guitar player a million years ago in one of my different lives, it was like, yeah, I'm not giving away a shitty guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll give away a cool guitar.
So how hard is it to get like a artist or an influencer to start drinking stage water on stage?
That's a great question. And that's another thing that we're going to find out this weekend. We've reached out to that whole spectrum of influencer, whatever's happening there's no rhyme or reason to it that I've seen so far. And it's like, people obviously have different social metrics that you can look at, but like you can look at two people with the same social reach and their financial ask can be wildly different. So, I don't know. We haven't really leaned into that big time yet. And I think we will. That's the next thing on our list. And we have this weekend, we are going to partner with Lauren Watkins, who's an up and coming country singer, and then the band Lula. Those are two that we landed on actually today on the ride up here to sit with you. And We had the band Lula out with us last year on Dierks' tour, and Logan and Malachi are both from a small town right near the small town in Georgia that I grew up. So there's some natural synergy there, and they're just stellar people. And then Lauren, I really love what Lauren's doing, and I think that she's going to be hopefully a big star. And we want to see. I think investing in finding relationships with younger up and coming artists are exciting, and that's always kind of been a fun part about being on a tour and seeing the people that Dierks chooses to come on the road and getting to kind of interact with those people, and then seeing who goes on to do fun things. So those are our two. Beyond that, I don't know. We'll see. So
I'm excited. Just I'm putting myself in your shoes, I guess, because I'm thinking about it and I'm a little nervous feeling too. I'd want to go down on the street and spy,
I know.
And be like,
yeah.
Are they?
If you're brave enough to get down on Broadway,
yeah, dude.
during CMA Fest.
How many people are grabbing the cans? That person passed. Dang it!
Yeah, I know, and it's funny. So myself and Zach and Jay, our two other co-founders, we're all out of town this weekend. So we've kind of
you're flying to Toronto today.
Yep, flying to Toronto. Zach's flying up tomorrow, and then Jay's in Calgary. So we kind of built this thing with partners that we have that are in town and running all of it, and we'll see how it goes,
dude. So between being a tour manager and being the CEO, owner, and launching a startup, how many hours a week do you work? If you're around Music Row, you've probably heard of Studio Bank or know someone that bangs with them, and there's a reason for that. They set out to rethink the typical experience, put people at the center of it, infuse innovative technology with genuine hospitality. Their whole idea is to be uncommonly modern and surprisingly human. That's a big part of why I'm proud to partner with them. They do not make you feel like a number. You get real people, real support, and a team that actually cares about what you're building, whether that's your business, your family, or your future. They also offer immediate ATM fee reversal at any ATM machine in the entire world. That's why a lot of my friends that are on the road bank with them. Visit studiobank.com or call 615-338-9998. Let them know Stephan Hogan sent you and see how Studio Bank can serve you today. Studio Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Artists, managers, labels. Are you looking for a high quality, affordable merch item your biggest fans will actually buy? Custom branded merch guitars from the Graphic Guitar Guys are one of the highest grossing tour products, often second only to t-shirts with 300 to 400% markups. They're an easy way to brand specific tours, albums, or a special project, and not offering them leaves real money on the table at any career level. With unbeatable pricing, top-tier quality, fast turnaround times, and hands-on customer service, the Graphic Guitar Guys work with everyone from stadium acts to bands touring in a van. Do yourself or your artist a favor and see what the Graphic Guitar Guys can do for you.
All of them. I mean, I think.
And how much do you lose sleep over this?
I do. I kind of have found a place in my mid-40s where I don't lose sleep that much anymore. Because I feel like I try to do everything I can until I have to definitively stop. And sometimes that stop is 5, and I'm cognizant that we're going to take the kids to a concert, or we're going to go to the pool or whatever, and try to be home, because a lot of my work as a tour manager happens at home. All of this work happens at home, because when we're out doing stuff with Dierks, that's my focus. We're at a show with Luke Combs' team, and there's 80,000 people there. In that day, I don't have time to think about this. And I'm there to, and it's actually a really nice reprieve, because I can just engage with our team on tour. And that is a way to have a reprieve from this. And then when I'm home, I can focus on this, and, it gives me a little separation there. So it creates a nice balance for work, but, the hours get slim.
I bet. So. What's the most rewarding part of being a tour manager for Dierks?
I think the most rewarding part is our team. I think the team that Dierks has built he has all of the people there have been there for so long. Like his merch manager has been there 22 years. Front of house guy's been there 20 years. Lighting guy's been there 20 years. I've been there 14 years. We have everybody likes to refer to their road people as their family, but it's like, I've been sleeping across the aisle from the same people for over a decade. And like, it really makes showing up to work and the way that we work together very rewarding. And all of that obviously culminates into, he and the band on stage and them being at ease and things being correct and all of the production being right. So they can literally step out there and not think about it and just knock it out of the park, which they do. I mean,
so things like probably because you're so far in, move pretty smooth within your camp.
They do. Yeah. And it's a blessing.
Like come toured, it's like not a huge deal. Everyone knows what their job is.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I see, and we have obviously every year we have new opening acts, and some of those artists are, have ranged from when I started as tour manager, it was Parker McCollum and Riley Green were the first and second of the tour, and then Jordan Davis and the brothers Osborne and all these different people that we've had the opportunity to interact with. And it's always a good reminder when you see like new artists that are going through those growing pains and staffing and they're finding their people, you know what I mean? It's always fun to see them find their tribe and their team and have success, but it's also a constant reminder of Dierks has built a team that has lasted, and it makes everybody's day smoother,
Why do you think he chose you 14 years ago?
I kind of showed up as a set carpenter, like the guy who was there before me, a gentleman named Tom Addison. He and I had worked together on Butch Walker's tour and on Courtney Love's tour, and Dierks needed a set carp, and Tom was like, "Hey man, if you want to come and put the staging together every day, there's an opportunity there." And at that time, I was tour managing a really small band called Shovels and Rope. They're a husband and wife duo, Carrie Ann and Michael, and they're incredible people. And we've been driving around the country for 6 months in an RV, and it was the two of them and me and their dog, Towns. And they were they were winding down their first record cycle, and it was like, I'd never worked in country music, but I was like, I'll jump in, man. Like, let's just try to keep some momentum going and stay in the music business. And so I jumped in and did that, and quickly became the bass tech as well as the set carpenter, and then became the stage manager, and then took on doing playback for the show as well as stage manager. And when Tom exited at the end of 2019, Dierks' manager called me and was like, "Hey, we think you could be a good fit for this. Take some time, talk it over with your wife and your kids." And because the stage manager role is a very day of show role. There's no emails. That it's you show up and you run the day. You're responsible for the trucks going in and out and all the labor with the unions. And you know what I mean? It's like, that's your work is all culminating into this moment. Like it would if it was a baseball game, you know what I mean? And she and I had the conversation like the workload changes when the work happens, changes, doing the advancing and all of that stuff is, it's an off hours kind of thing. And I was like, great, she's like, talk about it. We'll reconnect after Christmas. And then 2 days later she called and she was like, so word's out. I've been flooded with resumes, in or out. And I was like, I guess I'm in. So I jumped in, and then we immediately had COVID happen. So we did 2 or 3 shows, I think, for, my first year as a tour manager. And then we didn't tour for 18 months. So you're kind of sitting at home. And at that point, there was an interesting part of that though for me, because I decided in that moment, like there's a way, like all these people, we've all worked together for a long time. How do we stay cohesive? And it was like, so we started setting up these like weekly Zooms where everybody would get on, and you know what I mean? And we did it. And our team showed up pretty consistently for the duration until we all got back together. And it was like one of those, the first time I felt like I'd made a leadership decision, and that it reinforced that all of those people wanted to be there and wanted to spend time together and missed one another. And that it definitely helped me. I hope it helped them, but it helped me through COVID. You know what I mean? To check in on that Thursday night and be like, hey man, what have you been doing all week? Like what yard project have you successfully achieved? Because at that point that was kind of all anybody was doing, you know?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But
this idea was birthed out of that time.
And then, the end of 2021, this kind of popped out of that idea. And here we are 6 years later, 5 years later. And it, Dierks, again, the organization that he's created, him as a human have been, just caring and beneficial beyond words. You know what I mean? And like, he has beverage companies that he's part of and that he's, spun up. And so it's interesting and insightful. And like, he's a few years older than I am, but he definitely has been generous in sharing those journeys with me and saying like, hey, have you guys thought about this or that? And it's like, it's always, those little golden pieces of advice where you're like, no, I didn't know I should be thinking about that, so.
Do you want to hear my piece of advice?
Yes.
You need to do the, how Pepsi had the Pepsi challenge?
Mm-hmm.
You need to do that.
Okay.
You should do the Topo Chico versus Stage Water.
Let's do it. I love that.
Or like the Stage Water challenge, and it would be like another bubbly versus that.
Yeah.
Or like the Stage Water challenge, and it would be like Fiji versus.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm up for it.
Or like a competitor.
Yeah.
Versus yours.
Yeah.
And you guys just start doing that, and you do it with artists. Like backstage. Like
get them to do the taste
like
test.
Zach Top's going to do the challenge.
Yeah.
Can you guess which is which?
Which beer is it, Zach?
Yeah. Which one? Yeah. But
we'll
know
give
what I'm
Zach
saying?
a Coors and then a Stage Water and see. Let him decide what.
Yeah. That would be the perfect.
I love Zach.
That would be. But you get what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
That's my new idea. I just had for your brand.
That's free. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a free idea. But because it's interesting. I'm thinking like marketing and all that is.
I know, and I'm what you guys do here is I'm so not a marketing minded person. I'm very much a logistics person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy to coordinate cans and buses and trucks and tours, but like, I'm not that. Like, I don't think in the way of like, how do I make this engaging or enticing for somebody else? You know what I mean? So I appreciate it.
Yeah, you should do it. You should do it at CMA Fest. Stage Water
That's
challenge.
A great idea. And we can
video it on the street with people.
Yeah.
Just like go find random brands and see which one they like more.
Yeah. No, I mean, we can definitely pull that off the next couple days.
All right. Fun. Sick.
We'll see.
Well, thanks me for the idea.
Absolutely.
I'm just like part team Stage Water now.
I love it.
I'm just making myself an ambassador because
perfect.
I drink so much water. I fill up my Stanley probably like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
And those are 40 ounces. So 200 ounces of water.
That's strong.
Yeah. I don't know how much that is.
I get 2 64 ounces in a day is my goal.
What is mine 40 or 60? 40. Okay. Yeah. You do 2
I have like
ounces?
this big, aluminum. It's obnoxiously large. But
is that a gallon? I don't know what a gallon is.
I think a gallon's 128 ounces. So 64 ounces is a half gallon. But if you're doing 40 times 5, you're 200 ounces. Like you're over a gallon.
Yeah, that's a lot of water.
That's a lot.
Hopefully I'm not diabetic.
Fingers crossed.
Dude, so this is cool, man. I've never had someone on that's like just starting a company. And so the cool thing is the idea of being able to like come back and sit down.
Yeah.
And being like, hey, we started and we did this podcast back in 2026, right at the precipice of CMA Fest.
Yeah.
And now look at you.
I hope it's still around. That's my only want as we push forward and find the right home and the right partners. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be...
It'll reveal itself, too.
It will. And that's a whole part of the journey, too. You know what I mean? It's like going out there and just putting it out there and seeing what the response is. And, vulnerability. I've heard you talk about vulnerability on different episodes of your podcast. And it's like, that is, it's such a weird thing to have that connection with something that's not necessarily art or music or, you know what I mean? But it's like... And maybe some people don't hold it that precious, but I think just the way that I function, it's like I'm always trying to do something that is meaningful and fulfilling. And like, hopefully people find that simple idea in this, because the idea really is bigger than the product itself. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not, there's good water everywhere in America.
Yeah.
This is about how do we keep people from having to pull a GoFundMe when their kid gets sick? You know what I mean? Like, that's the real genesis and the real foundation of this idea is like, I don't want people that do what we do to have to suffer hardship without assistance.
Yeah.
So,
and that is the ethos, man. And that's what I think is important, because I'm thinking like, I don't know what margins are when you're at this point, but if 15% are already going to, you know, nonprofits, then that's like right off the top. And then whatever your margin is for the next part, it's like, that's a big chunk and a big risk to be able to do something because you have belief in it, which is back to why I looked up this data, because I had read it before about the corporate social responsibility, but I forgot what the stats were. And so the current stats with 70% of consumers wanting to know that you support a cause, and 46, almost 50% are making a decision based off of the cause. So I think it's cool that you have here on the can, it says that 15% of profits directly support crews, venues, and artists who keep the music flowing.
Yep.
And so I think that's really special. And,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's a unique one for me because it's so different for you, and I'm in my learning journey of things.
Yeah.
So it's fun to like talk a little bit about, you know, things where there's that level of uncertainty. Because I think that that's something that anybody that's pursuing a dream experiences.
Yeah.
And you have your, like, let's say 9 to 5 job as the tour manager.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you're doing this. And I would imagine that you're thinking, I don't want to speak for you, but I would be thinking someday I'm not going to be a tour manager forever. And I also am going to want to buy back my time. What would be an exit strategy for me off the road in the eventual future when you're, you know, not every artist is touring forever. Not every person, you know, because the music business is a pretty cutthroat thing.
It's a fickle thing, man. And, but, you know, back to the longevity of Dierks's crew, I mean, that's wholly contingent, obviously, on the longevity of Dierks's career, which has already been a stellar, you know, I mean, he put his first single out in 2002. And has been on tour ever since, which has allowed those guys and gals to be there for so long, me included. And yeah, the older I get, like you said, you know, all of us on the road, I think, start thinking about that. Even as a musician, like, how do I minimize? I don't want to do 100 shows a year anymore. I would like to do 50 and, you know, like you said, buy back that time. And I think that's a lot of it's a function of scale. And a lot of it is, you know, finding other ways to create revenue that are outside of that structure, you know, for ourselves. But
it's just diversifying and having something, because the thing that people don't realize for like music business or entrepreneurs, I don't know about you, but like for what we're doing here at the podcast, there's no retirement account.
Right.
You know, like we have a couple sponsors and we're 1099.
Yeah.
We're not paying into retirement.
But that's that growth part of it too, right? Like you said, you guys are in that learning journey, and like, I know and I'd love to hear more about this. You and I didn't touch on this, but like building out your new studio and transitioning to a new space, and like all of those things are interesting evolutions in what you guys are doing. And like, how does that feel for you?
Very uncertain. Like, you know, like, we've been at this spot for over 2 years, and there's a few things at play. One of the big things is we have a really loud neighbor.
Oh, I gotcha.
And she's always on her cell phone. And she's a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And she's just super loud. But there's been a lot of times door slams, things where it like picks up on the microphone. And then another part's just like permanent, you know, and how can we do it where it's more comfortable, even more comfortable for the guest and the guest experience. And that's something I'm learning. I just interviewed Ben Montague, who's a Carter Vintage Guitar owner, and he owns Norman Rare guitars, but he's talking about the obsession of a customer experience. And that's something I'm starting to think about. So the studio that we're building is in a space that was built in our home to be a studio. And so it's going to be, no one's heard this yet, but it'll be there. So it's like I'm welcoming you into my home.
Yeah.
Like we have like a really nice espresso machine. It's like, what can I get you? Can I get you a stage water? Would you like bubbly?
I love that.
Would you like bubbly or regular water? You know what I'm saying? Like,
but you're
that
hosting,
kind of thing.
Yeah. And it becomes like it is your home. And so it's a naturally more
scary.
comfortable. It is.
But I'm also scared and insecure that people are going to be like, oh, that's less professional or whatever. But really, to me, it's about like doing the right thing long term. What does long term look like?
Yeah.
And so the podcast for us is at a point where it's really at an uptick. And we finally have, after basically flat from a start to like this last, babe, how long would you say? We've been really kind of hockey sticking. Like we've seen an uptick more recently. Yeah. Yeah, within months, it's just starting to go like this. And so that's exciting because it's like supporting a family off of this. How do we do that? How do we generate revenue as a business, as a podcast? And then we're talking to businesses and brands and figuring out partners. And then they want to know what their key performance indicators are for the podcast. And it's like, well, you're not just buying like clicks, you're buying influence in this industry and in Nashville.
Right.
And so like that's kind of a different marketing position.
And content. I mean, essentially like
100%. 100%.
What do you feel like was the kickoff on that? Like where was there a certain episode that you felt like all of a sudden it tickled the algorithm the right way and it started to percolate, or like, I'm always fascinated by that stuff. Like I know nothing about any of the algorithmic social.
Yeah. Let's ask Kaylee.
That's the old guy in me.
Kip Moore and Bear episode back to back.
Kip Moore and Bear.
Gotcha.
They have such big followings.
Yeah.
And so those episodes really took off.
Okay.
I think those episodes helped. Yeah.
And after that, it was kind of a flow.
Yeah, I think it's been a few things. I think it's just the amount of relationships built with people.
Yeah.
It's just such a relationship industry. Everybody says it, but it really is.
Yeah.
And then one of our partners, Studio Bank, has connected us with more of people on the business side. So like some of their founder advisory board that are people that are in original investors in their bank are like big CEOs in the music business. So we've had some people on that have a different angle. And I think there's a lot of just hungry people for information about, getting educated instead of just the talking points that a lot of people have.
I thought that your mix of guests, I definitely thought it was super cool to see like Rusty on here and people that are very business focused and learning about like the publishing vertical, which I mean, I know about some, but there's always things to learn, especially at that scale with Sony and what they were doing. And I think that blend of the business acumen and insight with the Kip Moores and, and Natalie, like you and I talked about her episode earlier, like, I think that I was super intrigued and to start to become a listener and a subscriber. So
well, cool. Great, man. I'm glad to hear that, because I'll tell you this, like you could have 1 million passive viewers or you could have 3 of the right viewers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's like with the Rusty episode, a lot of people in the business watched it and listened to it, and it all got back to him. And it was like, well, how do you put a price tag on the fact that you're able to create content and host someone to collaborate with Sony Music Publishing on posts and things like that?
Yeah.
And that's like the interesting part of the business where you're like, I created this literally to, if each episode helps one person and I make a friend by the end of it, then it's a win.
Yeah.
That was it, dude. I'm always just focused on helping one person. And then that focus has just kind of done this, man.
Yeah.
And then I feel like God's just opened doors. Is again, like my faith's a big part of my life. And I feel like it's just one thing after another. And you don't ever see like super far in the future, like you're doing with this. You don't know what the outcome of CMA Fest is.
Oh, yeah.
But what you realize is you don't have control. Like control's an illusion. You have influence, but you really can't control the outcomes of anything.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree with that.
You know? So it's like, it's out of your hands at a certain point. Actually, Vince Gill told me that once. It was his first like big piece of advice I got when I got to Nashville. You can't control the outcome. And I never really came to life until the last couple of years for me. And having a son and like us going from me and Haley doing whatever we want whenever we want to having a 3-year-old now. So life has changed drastically. But yeah, bringing things in house is going to be special. And we're just trying to get funding from like doing the GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's a lot harder to, because algorithms don't want to send people to external links.
Oh,
they want you to stay on the platform.
Yeah.
So if you post a GoFundMe link, they're going to
make
like
it
shadow
hard
ban
for
your
them.
video kind of a thing.
I didn't even think about that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not going to rank it in the algorithm.
Yeah.
And so the real thing is like Instagram stories, but only so many people see an Instagram story.
Right.
So you're talking to the same people, annoying them with your GoFundMe things all the time. So listeners, if you listen, we're doing a GoFundMe to support the new studio.
Yeah.
The big thing's sound treatment. And we worked hard in this room.
Yeah.
And it's pretty quiet, but it's still like my voice bounces off that back wall pretty bad. So we put it, but it's just figuring out the room.
Yeah.
It was a long answer to your question.
No, I love it though. I mean, I'm excited for you guys to do that. And like, I think I love seeing projects like that pop up on GoFundMe, you know what I mean? And it's like where people can dive in and like invest in a thing that they enjoy and help people perpetuate art. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. I've always donated to them. And then behind me, what I'm going to have, I think it'll be behind me or the guest. It'll be a list of all the names of the people that donated.
Oh yeah.
So it's like the new studio, but it'll be like a cool framed piece of art that's like everybody's names in there.
Yeah, that's great.
And so I think that's a special little thing that, people can get out of it because it's like asking for money and they're like, well, what am I going to get in return?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to keep getting podcast episodes and you're going to get your name on this little thing.
We're creating entertainment for you to enjoy, man.
I want to help you out.
That's a big part of it. And like, I love that. And I'm excited for you guys.
I appreciate that, dude. I'm excited for you. It's cool to be at this level of knowing that you launched January 31st of 2025. And then here we are in June. Yeah. And it's like, now it's a really like big 2-market opportunity for the first like really big scale thing. That's what scary and exciting.
It is. And the hockey stick moment that you're talking about, it's like, does it happen, and like to see that. And I love to hear that like, that's what everybody's looking for, right? It's like, and I think for me and maybe for you guys, that part is, I mean, obviously we all want to create revenue, but there's also that is validation. Like I've been working hard. Now people are starting to adopt, this podcast is part of their go-to listening experience, or this brand is part of their daily drinking experience. That hockey stick is like the pat on the back, I think, that people need, especially where we're at as a brand. And it sounds like where you guys are at, like that's got to feel really good of like, here it is.
Dude, yeah. I'll tell you what the best thing was. We went to this, Kit Moore had his like album release Friday, and we went to the concert. When was that? Saturday night, babe? And so like we went with, we had some wristbands for like the VIP thing. So we went in, and the guy at the front door that was handing out the wristbands, I was like, it's for Stephan Hogan, and he was looking on it, and then it was like Stephan Hogan Podcast, I guess was what the name was under. He's like, oh, dude, I listened to your podcast.
That's awesome.
I just listened to this episode. He's like, I interned at such and such a place, and now I'm interning at Red Light.
Yeah.
And dude, like your episode. And I'm like, dude, that's the win right there.
That's the
like
win.
This young guy is like learning things. I have no clue who's listening. You have no clue who's drinking.
Yeah.
And it's like this weird thing. But like when you get to have that tangible little conversation with someone and it's impacting them, you're like, that's it.
Yeah. That's what you're setting out to do, which is awesome.
That's your Grateful Dead Bob drinking your water
yeah, it is
moment, you know?
It is.
You're like,
absolutely.
oh, like, look at that, dude.
Yeah.
It's in the hand.
It's
Look
in
at
the
whose
hand.
it's
I
in.
know, man. That's awesome.
So I'm excited for you guys. Where can people go to, what are we doing? Like, if we want to drink it and we're in town, we can get it
At different bars and restaurants around Broadway, Acme, Feed and Seed, all the Daddy's Dogs, Gramps, on and on. There's stagewater.com has a list of all of the places carrying it, and then we ship direct anywhere in the country, in the world. So
and y'all are going to just keep growing.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I know it
man.
is.
Fingers crossed. So
yeah, dude. No, not fingers crossed, man. It's going to happen.
Well, I appreciate you.
It's going to happen. It might be like this, but it's going to happen.
And that's part of the journey, right? Like there's going to be aberrations, and we're ready for that.
But you also have a great team, it sounds like, and great people and great advisors and people that know the space. And I think that's like 80% of it to me. The rest is marketing.
Yeah.
It's like marketing capital, like Monster.
Yeah.
Like how did they get into the market?
Right.
You know, a lot of just free.
That's it. And I mean, talking to people that we've engaged, I mean, somebody used the term beverage is a capital intensive endeavor, which translates that you just kind of light money on fire for marketing
for
right?
a long time.
Yeah. And I loved hearing that phrase, and it also made my stomach sink a little bit like, oh shit, this is going to be, you know, but I think that's the reality of anything that you're trying to scale, whether it's an artist, a song, a podcast, like, that's part of that game. That's the society that we exist in America. And we all hope that like something catches on, or there's a social moment, or blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I think if you keep doing it and chugging along, you know, I mean, it's like, I mean, Nashville's the 10-year town, right? Because that's what you do. You just keep working and you keep pushing and you keep being a good person and trying to cherish and hold those relationships that you make along the way with respect, and hopefully that flourishes into opportunity and careers. And I think that's kind of the approach that we're taking with this. It's like, we're just going to gut it out and keep going.
Just keep going, dude. Winners.
And try not to light too much money on fire.
No, you might have to. You might have to, but it's your ROI and belief in it.
Yeah.
Winners never quit and quitters never win.
That's true. I love that.
It's been great having you on.
Thanks, man.
Chris,
thanks for having me. Yeah.
Before you hop on your flight to Canada.
Yeah.
Hope you have so you'll be at a event tonight or tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yep. Dirks'
Luke Combs.
Yep.
Dirks' direct support
for Luke Combs in Toronto for 2 nights. So,
at a
it's
stadium?
our last weekend. Yeah. Rogers Stadium. Last weekend with those guys. So kind of sad, man. Yeah. It's been good. It's been a good tour though. So
it is sad, but I'm stoked for this.
I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll all just stay posted for our next episode.
Perfect.
When you come back.
I love it.
I need to get into the company now. I don't have any money to, but I need to. I need some equity.
We can figure it out.
All right. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, man.